Hello, guys. All right. So let's go over frequency or частота in Russian. Just like we went over it in class, except this time you'll just be making more sentences. And probably there will be some other words there in those sentences that we haven't gone over yet. Let's see. So частота, not to be confused with чистота, which means cleanliness. So this частота means frequency. Чистота means cleanliness. And from here, there's чистый, which is clean. The opposite of that is dirty, which is грязный. And that those are adjectives, so they have to agree um, by gender. So it's going to be чистая for female, чистое for third gender, and чистые um, for plural. And if they all sound the same to you right now, because your ear is not really tuned into Russian, that's fine. And it's also fine because we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about the other meaning, or rather the other word, which is frequency. Real quickly, we already gone over these in class, but I'll go over them now. Again, there's starting on the left side of the spectrum from the things occurring least frequently, which is никогда, which is never, почти, which means almost, and it applies just like in English, the word almost applies um, to like adjectives and just situations in general. Почти никогда, almost never. Очень, which means very. Очень редко, which means very rarely. Редко, which means rarely. Иногда, which means sometimes. Часто, which means frequently or often. Hence, you see the similarity in you see часто in частота. Обычно, which means usually. I would put them kind of like at the same frequency. Очень часто, which means very often or very frequently. And again, we have почти, почти всегда, which means almost always. And then we have всегда, which means always. And, we can encounter this when people ask questions. Как часто ты, or how often? Как means how, as you know, and часто means frequently. So it's like how frequently or how often. Как часто ты, and then we can go into our, formula with хочешь, можешь, тебе нравится, ты любишь, which we haven't really covered in class, but I know some of you already know of this verb. Тебе нужно. So like how often do you need would be like как часто тебе нужно, and then you go into whatever you think the person needs. So it's very useful when we're, when asked questions. And yeah, I think that's all I want to say about it. It's really used just like it's used in English. So I think it should be a pretty smooth transition. And now let's go to practice. Do you often like to drink tea? And this is informal. Yes, very often. Тебе часто нравится пить чай? Да, очень часто. And now by popular demand, I will speed it up for to say it like I would say it in a casual conversation. Тебе часто нравится пить чай? Да, очень часто. I can almost never find my watch. Now, watch is часы. Часы, which is also plural for hours. Час is 1 hour. And also, to find, we will use the verb найти, which means to have found. It's a perfective verb, so it means to have found. I can almost never find my watch. One more thing, часы is plural, so you would have to agree the possessive pronoun to be plural. Я почти никогда не могу найти мои часы. I hope you remember the double negative. Um, if you said «Я почти никогда могу найти мои часы», that sounds wrong and kind of confusing because people are so used to hearing «никогда не» that they will not understand if you... So can you find your watch or can you not? So make sure to, when you're using «никогда» with a verb, it's almost always going to be «никогда не». In fact, it might always be. I'm just saying almost always just to kind of cover my ass because there might be some exception somewhere. Yeah, so the double negative there. And of course, мои is the plural for the possessive pronoun for first person singular. Oh yes, the real-time speed. Я почти никогда не могу найти мои часы. Sometimes she likes to eat only bread. I hope you remember the word for only. And the word for bread is хлеб. Хлеб. Now, if you're struggling with dative case pronouns that we need for the to say she likes, you can revisit this video on my channel, lecture 3, нравится practice, and yeah, you'll get to refresh your dative case pronouns. Sometimes she likes to eat only bread. Иногда ей нравится есть только хлеб. Иногда ей нравится есть только хлеб. Never say never. That expression also exists in Russian. Now, in this case, say is going to be in the imperative form. We haven't studied it yet, but let's say that let's use the verb говорить. So it's like we're saying never speak never, or never tell never. And the imperative of говорить for informal, because we're telling it to somebody, will be говори. Говори. Never say never. Никогда не говори никогда. Никогда не говори никогда. I think there was a movie titled that. Again, double negative here. Make sure to remember that. There's the не. So, let's see. He rarely tells the truth. For this, the verb говорить will need to be in third person, singular, and it'll be говорит. And truth is правда. But in this case, it'll be in accusative case, and it becomes правду. He rarely tells the truth. Он редко говорит правду. Он редко говорит правду. I want to be with you always. Informal. And I want to be with you almost always. That's not very romantic. Instead of and here, let's use a. It's kind of said in a comparative way. Я хочу быть с тобой всегда. А я с тобой почти всегда. I think I missed did I miss, I don't remember how exactly I phrased it in English. Let's see, can we go back? Oh yeah, and I want, oh yeah, I should have, well, yeah, I should have said, а я хочу. Yeah, and I kind of phrased it shortly. This would be also acceptable, although we're missing a bunch here, so it's not an exact translation. Let me see. Where was I? And I want to be with you. Yeah, I cut out the хочу. Um, yeah, so the correct translation is а я хочу с тобой почти всегда. But the more natural here, in the natural conversation, the person would just reply, а я с тобой почти всегда, probably. Хочу kind of, extra хочу here kind of sounds redundant. Um, anyway, these are all like kind of fine points. At this level, it's fine either way. Let me say it in the in the real time speed. Я хочу быть с тобой всегда, а я с тобой почти всегда. You always tell me the truth, and that is why I love you. Now that's romantic. Okay. So we'll have to convert говорить into говоришь, which is second person informal singular. And that is why let's use поэтому. Поэтому. We're going to use the verb любить, and in first person it's going to become люблю. Люблю. Probably going to be hard to pronounce when you're not accustomed to softening your L's. But try. It's not lublu. It's not lublu. It's lu-blu. And for more natural pronunciation, for more natural word order, don't say I love you, but say I you love. And of course, the you here will have to be in a in accusative case, which is the same way when we said like what your name is. You always tell me the truth, and that is why I love you. This is informal. Ты всегда мне говоришь, or говоришь мне, either way. Ты всегда мне говоришь правду, и поэтому я тебя люблю. If you switch the word order a little bit, it doesn't really matter. Ты всегда мне говоришь правду, и поэтому я тебя люблю. Usually he is here every day. Обычно он тут каждый день. Now there's another word for here, which is здесь. It is used just as often. I think in a later example I go over it. But yeah, that's the sentence. Обычно он тут каждый день. Yesterday you spoke in Russian. And we're telling this to a female informally. This is so unusual. Um, for so, let's use the word tak. And for unusual, it's going to be the same thing as usual, but negated. So you're going to put a negation right in front of the word for usual. And you're going to make it one word. Yesterday, you spoke Russian. This is so unusual. Вчера ты говорила по-русски. Это так необычно. Вчера ты говорил по-русски. Это так необычно. They are very rarely together. Они очень редко вместе. Они очень редко вместе. How good it is that we always have money. The word for money is деньги. Деньги. What else? So for this, we're gonna to say it for it to sound natural in Russian, we're gonna drop the it is, and we're gonna go from how good straight to the rest of the sentence. Как хорошо, что у нас всегда есть деньги. Hope you remembered that this pronoun for we is going to change here. And if you said, что у нас есть всегда деньги, that doesn't quite sound as natural, but you will be understood. Как хорошо, что у нас всегда есть деньги. For this one, the word for thing is вещь. One of the words for thing is вещь. It's a good word because it's so general. And general words are good when we start out learning languages because suddenly we can talk about a lot of things. See, I just used the word thing in that sentence. And plural for things is вещи. Вещи. Now, to say expensive, expensive is дорогой in male, but this time it's going to be plural, so it's going to become дорогие. Дорогие. You always want to be buying expensive things. Ты всегда хочешь покупать дорогие вещи. Ты всегда хочешь покупать дорогие вещи. How often is he speaking with her? Was speaking often, but now rarely. Как часто он говорит с ней? Говорил часто, но сейчас редко. Как часто он говорит с ней? Говорил часто, но сейчас редко. And this is our last slide. See you later.